Around 7 months ago, I made a video reviewing all current Bear fan games, but a lot has changed since then, and a lot of new fan games have came out since then. And in this video, I'm going to cover every single Bear fan game I could find, not including Bear RP games, obviously, because, well, they're Bear RP games, and there is trillions of them. That would take way too long. Now, obviously, this is all my opinion, and I am obviously not going to include alt in this, but yeah, I hope you do enjoy, and let's get right into this. Coming in at last place is Bear Luxury. Now, this game isn't exactly very good. It's basically everything you'd expect from a low quality, not very well put together Bear fan game. There's nothing it really does new or really unique, and the game doesn't exactly feel very polished. But hey, we're not all perfect, so let's discuss what this game does right and what it does wrong. So, first off, the UI. The inventory and shop buttons I didn't exactly like. They are alright, they're not bad, it's just, I don't know, they kind of feel a little janky. The spectate button, I guess you're going for a theme, I can see that. It's just, it doesn't really resonate with me at all. When you actually go into the inventory and shop, they're alright. They're like kind of something you'd see in maybe a starter project for, say, a Bear fan game, such as this one. And they're not perfect, but they work. That's all that I guess that really matters, but I'm not the biggest fan of them overall. Okay, so talking about the intro to this game, the You Are Survivor, You Are Bear intro, I absolutely do not like it. It looks fine, it works, I don't really care, but oh my god, every single time I load in, my ears are destroyed. It was so loud. Please turn that down. I do not know why that is still in the game. As for the gameplay, it's okay. It's not very interesting. It's very boring. The map I was in literally didn't have any music and was super bright. The sprint is, I don't know, really slow. Settings is for some reason in the round, which I guess that's not the biggest problem, but overall the gameplay is, I don't know, I'd give it like a maybe 3 out of 10, maybe 4. Now, as for the maps, I wasn't really the biggest fan of them. The map I'm in right now, Amnomia, I didn't exactly like it. It was very janky, to say the least. I just didn't really like the maps in this game very much. Now, as for the puzzles, the cheese altar, I don't think I actually got to use that, but it's probably just your typical cheese altar. The wire puzzles, oh boy, I do not like those at all. They're super small, so it's really hard to click them, and they take forever. Do something about that. They are not very enjoyable to complete. Anyway, there's not really much else to say about this game. That's really all the content it has. I mean, there is the obby, which was, I know, pretty generic, but other than that, let's move on to the next game in the list. Coming in at 9th place is Bear X. Now, just after my original fan games video was released, this game was released, and has been around for a pretty long time now. Now, this game isn't perfect, it's not the best, but it's got some notable things that make it at least better than Bear Luxury. Now, I forgot to mention the lobby in Bear Luxury, but it's pretty terrible. But this one isn't that much better. It's pretty small, it's better, but it's not very good. Now, the obby in this is alright. It's nothing special, but it's fine. The UI, I mean, the UI is good-ish. I mean, it does also look like Bear Luxury, but I think Bear Luxury literally uses the same kit. Anyway, the intro screen is alright. Again, not very good, but it's not bad. I do prefer it over Bear Luxury, and it does have some pretty nice animations too, so I guess it is pretty good. Now, I think Bear Luxury and this game use half or some of a piggy kit, which does lose some points, and that's the reason they're pretty far down. I guess it's fine, we all gotta start somewhere. Now, this is the same with this game in Bear Luxury. The settings is still in the round, which I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I really don't see why. Now, the gameplay is pretty boring and lackluster. It's not very enjoyable, but it's not terrible, but it is near terrible. Now, the map voting pads are actually quite nice. They've got a decent animation with some static on it, which I do actually appreciate and quite like, actually. I also found it pretty neat that you could change the timer style in the settings if you preferred a different timer style. Now, the maps in this I wouldn't say are very good, but definitely a step up from Bear Luxury, 100%. Now, I never could find any puzzles, so I don't know if there is puzzles or if there isn't, but if there isn't, the gameplay is even more boring than I thought. But that really wraps up Bear X. There's not really much else to talk about. The sprint is decent. It's still a little slow. Now the game is still a little janky, it's still got that Bear Luxury jank, and I think that's because they share the same kit, because I think the creator of Bear X also worked on Bear Luxury. But anyway, yeah, that really wraps up Bear X. Let's move on to the next segment. Coming in at 8th place is Robo Alpha. This game hasn't changed too much since I last played it 7 months ago, but I'm still gonna include it here because it is still a Bear fan game. First of all, the lobby is actually quite good. I do like the lobby. It is pretty unique, and the obby is definitely one of the best obbies I've seen in a Bear fan game. The UI I still kind of have a problem with. It's still very janky, to say the least. Also, I don't know why there is 5 map voting pads. Guess that's kind of cool. I guess Bear Alpha did it, then everyone was just like, yo, this is a good idea. She'd be confident on those ideas. Yeah, but the UI is very, I'd say Bear X's UI looked cleaner, at least. I mean, the settings is pretty nice. There's a ton of options there. I really do appreciate the effort that went into this game, except the UI. The systems in this game are really nice, and I can tell this isn't just a pure-blooded piggy kit. I can tell effort has been put into it, except the UI. The kill effects and gears look pretty interesting, pretty nice. The kill effects, there's a pretty decent variety, so I do appreciate all of the variety of different kill effects that they have got in the game. Now, the intro for Survivors and Bears is definitely better than the previous games on this list, but I can still see the jank, but it is quite nice, and I do appreciate the effort that went into making this. Now, the gameplay is just standard Bear fan game gameplay, and isn't too bad, and it's more on the boring-ish side, but definitely better than the previous games on this list. Sprint is your standard sprint, nothing to really note of that. The puzzles are interesting. I came across a lever. I don't really know what it did, but last I checked on Robo wire puzzles, which I don't think I looked at in this, were actually very decent. They had some cool colors to them. Now, the maps in this game are very, I mean, they're not very good, but they're not bad. You know, they're better than the previous 2 games on this list, but they aren't bad, but they're not very good at the same time. For some reason, I never mentioned the skins in the previous 2 games on this list. They were alright. They're not the best, but they're not bad. A lot of them just didn't really fit the whole theme for the game. In Robo, the skins are more in the meh side for me. I'm not really the biggest fan of the Robo character in the first place. But hey, it is what it is. It is just my opinion at the end of the day. But there's not really much else to talk about for this game. There isn't that much content. There's a bit of content. I like the leaderboards, but I think I did cover that in the previous fan games video. And yeah, I think that's really it for Robo. And yeah, let's move on. Coming in at 7th place is Bear Plus. Now, this game has changed a lot since I last covered it 7 months ago. I think so anyway, I kind of forgot. But this game is pretty good. The lobby is, I think, could be improved. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's kind of bland, the whole lobby. There could be more stuff on the sides, maybe some decorations. But other than that, the UI is decent. It's not bad. It's kind of similar to Bear X and Bear Luxury. The obby is pretty decent. I quite like it. Map voting is also pretty nice. And the skins of the game are pretty decent, actually. The intro, the Bear and Survivor intro is, I mean, it's alright, it's pretty generic, but it works and it's pretty nice. Now, there's a few game modes in this game, which is pretty nice. This one you're seeing right now is Crouton mode, which is pretty interesting. But overall, the gameplay is pretty decent. It's got puzzles. It's kind of generic, but it's still pretty nice, and it's not as boring as the previous games in this list. Now, the maps in this game are actually pretty interesting. They are definitely better than the previous entries on this list, but I can still see that jank, but at the same time, I see a lot less of it. I can definitely tell this game is pretty well made. Now, as for the puzzles, they're pretty generic. The wire puzzle is just, you know, your casual wire puzzle, and the cheese is just, you know, your casual cheese. I didn't really look into the puzzles in this game that much, but I heard that they're just, you know, the normal bear puzzles. I mean, that's really it for this. The soundtrack is pretty nice. There's some decent themes in maps, and there's some decent lobby music, which is a pretty big highlight. But anyway, I think that's really it. There's not really much else to cover for this game, so yeah, let's move on. Next up on this list, we have Feline Star Demo. Now this is going to be a pretty short one because, you know, it's not really that different from Bear Alpha Plus because it's from the same creator. It's more of a goofy game, say like Bear Beta or some April Fool's joke, but it is still pretty decent, and the UI is kind of, I don't really like. The skins of the game I also kind of don't really like, but at the same time they are pretty decent. I didn't really know if I should put this in front of Bear Plus or behind it, because they're basically very similar games, and I would love to hear your guys' opinion on the intro for this is, you know, basically the same as Bear Alpha Plus, but it's alright, I guess. I'm not sure if this should have gone way further down on the list or not, but I mean, it's here, you know, there's not that much content to the game, it's pretty buggy, the maps are, they're okay, but not that good. Some of them were pretty fun, but yeah, it's more of a goofy game, and I kind of do like those goofy games, so yeah, there's not really much else to talk about, so yeah, I'm just gonna move on to the next game. Coming in at 5th place is Savages. Now, last time I covered this, I obviously liked it, and I still do. It is really good. It's a lot lower down on the list than last time, is mainly because there is a lot better Bear fan games than this. This is more of its own thing than a Bear fan game. But anyway, the UI for this game has gotten an improvement. I'm still a little skeptic on it. It's just kind of all over the place and kind of janky, but hey, that's the style the game goes for, and maybe I just don't really like that sort of style that this game is going for. But anyway, the gameplay is good. It's got unique puzzles, it's got unique music, it's got unique sound effects. It does still feel a little janky, but it is way better than all of the one previously showed. And I feel like that it's more of its own game than a fan game, but I still absolutely love this game. If you want to see a more in-depth review of this game, just go to my previous fan games video on my channel from 7 months ago. It dives way more into this, but not that much has changed where I could make like a whole in-depth review, when you could probably just go to my previous video and just base your review off of that. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna move on from here, and yeah. Now, the best Bear fan game on this list, in my opinion, is obviously going to be Redux. Obviously not including Barrel, but you know what I mean. But yeah, this game is really well made. I absolutely love the menu screen, by the way. It is amazing. There's achievements, there's extras, there's credits, and in extras you can find the actual OST of the game, and the game has a custom OST for most of the things, if not all. The lobby is pretty nice. It's very reminiscent of old Bear Star. You can definitely tell effort went into this game, and I can definitely appreciate that. One of my favorite features in this game is the spectate. It looks super cool, and I'm probably gonna do something like this in Bear Alpha just because of how good this is. It's got a night vision, the FOV makes it look really nice, and I just feel like this is probably the best spectate in a Bear fan game to date by far. Now, the UI for this game is pretty nice actually. It's very well designed, and I'm kind of like mixed about how the settings is in the inventory. Kind of weird, but I guess that's fine. The skins in the game are pretty nice. I'm not really the biggest fan of the bear model they're using, but maybe that's just me. But at the end of the day, most of the skins look decent. There's decent kill effects, and there's also decent gears. What more can you really want? The Survivor and Bear intro, I actually really quite like. They are really well made, obviously, and I think a lot of effort went into them, which I can definitely appreciate. The sprint and health bar UI is interesting to say the least. I'm not really the fan of it, but it is pretty unique, and that's quite nice. Overall, the maps in this game are pretty well made. I'm not really the biggest fan of the lighting system they had in the game. I feel like when they first released this game, the maps were better, but I think they remade some of them and added different lighting, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm not remembering correctly, but I feel like the maps used to be different and the lighting used to be different. The soundtrack for this game is really nice because it is all custom made, which I feel like is a first for a Bear fan game, and I really appreciate the effort that went into that in particular. Overall, the gameplay is your generic Bear fan game gameplay, or just Bear gameplay. The puzzles are really nice actually. I actually really like the puzzles. The cheese puzzle, really unique, I like it. Wire puzzle, also really nice. They're a little small, but I guess that's fine. The color code puzzle, I really like. It's got some cool effects on it. A lot of these puzzles do have really nice effects. But yeah, overall, this is basically just what Bear Star did, say, back in 2021 or 2022. It doesn't feel too much like OG Bear Star, but it feels kind of like a mix between new Bear Star and old Bear Star. I feel like if I wasn't the creator of Bear Ult, I would have probably put it at the top, mainly because it does things that all of these Bear fan games don't try to or attempt to do. But hey, maybe that's me. In the future, Ult is going to be way more unique than it is now, and I'm pretty excited for that. But obviously I'm not going to rank it on here because that'd kind of just be unfair. Yeah, but Redux doesn't really do anything new or anything original except some, I don't know, cool improvements to life that I really do appreciate. But with all these fan games on the list, except maybe Savages, I don't really innovate on anything or really do anything unique that other fan games have not done. Anyway, I think that does wrap up this video. Congratulations for Redux for being the #1 on this list and being just a pretty decent game in general for Bear fans. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I really hope you did enjoy, and subscribe or like or whatever if you do want to. I don't really care. I will see you in the next video or next whatever I do. I don't really know. And yeah, goodbye.